Yeah, I'm Graham Hirst. I represent Ministry of Furniture. I'm the MD there. I'll tell you a little bit about the business. Tony has banned me from selling today, so this week's special offer, if you are interested, at the end of today's presentation. Only joking. I just want to give you a little bit of background on the company. You may or may not be aware of us. We are an approved supplier to a number of the authorities. Ministry of Furniture was the business that came out of Remploy Furniture back in 2014. For those of you that are of my age, you'll certainly remember Remploy Furniture. They were the UK's largest employer of people with disabilities. At the risk of being political, funding was pulled on that back in 2014 by UK government, and we formed Ministry of Furniture as a not quite a management buyout, but similar. We're a business with social aim, so it wasn't a straight management buyout. We formed Ministry of Furniture back in 2014 with 8 people as we came out. Not quite the 75 jobs that we wanted to save in Remploy, but we've done okay with it, and we're about 35 people now, so we're getting there. We're a small medium enterprise. There's my team. Around about 1/3 of my team are people who are considered to have a disability, or in other organisations perhaps will be considered as having a barrier of entry to work. I stress other organisations because we're a business with social aims, and we tend to employ to the ability and not the disability. But
sorry, a step to the right.
Sorry, yeah, am I not quite in here?
Yeah.
Is that better? Cheers, you got me. Okay, I'll turn that around so I can see what I'm doing then as well. Okay, so our business and what it looks like is loose furniture, a couple of projects fairly locally. If you can see that one there, so I'll have to step out the view from time to time. Kevin Syson's school, all of the loose furniture there, that's the digital arena down in Swansea. I'll just give you an idea of what we do, and then fitted furniture, which is all the stuff that tends to go into schools, school laboratories, IT suites, teaching walls, all that sort of stuff. And then in the background, obviously because we have to do all of that stuff, we've got to be able to design, plan, space plan, interior design and all those kind of things, BIM modelling. And if you're exposed to it in your particular line of work, using a product called Revit and all the COBE data that sits behind that. So it's quite a big and grown-up thing to have to get on with, construction sector stuff. Okay, but here today I want to talk to you about circular economy and how that fits into our business. As Tony said, no selling, but it's kind of hard not to talk about it in the commercial sense because that's what it is, and we've commercialised what we're doing there with the aim of creating jobs, I should stress, because we are a business with social aims. And we got into this back in a serious way, I would say probably around about 2015, 2016, where City and County of Swansea approached me, the estates director there, and said, look, we've got this project in the Civic, but we want to reuse as much furniture as we possibly can. And for a commercial team, that's quite a difficult challenge because it's, you know, you want to sell new furniture. That's really testing a paradigm that's in your head. You want to sell new furniture, but you actually get, particularly as a business with social aim, why you would want to do that. So we went on a really exciting journey with them, and over the course of about a year or so, we managed to work out how to get in, how to audit what was in the building, how to repurpose it to something else. And I stress repurpose it to something else, which is a theme that I'll pick up, and add real value to it. Whereby politically, obviously for that particular council, buying old brand new furniture might have come under a lot of scrutiny, and probably wasn't the right thing to do. And that story finishes off quite nicely more recently, where we finished 4 floors in the Civic of pretty much all remanufactured furniture. The team there were very strict with themselves about how they wanted to do that project. And it's being reused again in the move from the Civic across the new British Home stores. I forget what they've branded that project now, but if you know Swansea, you'll know what I mean. On Oxford Street, I think I haven't seen the brand name for it yet. I've seen the brand guidelines, but I think I'm under a non-disclosure to say what it is actually, because we're working on that. So here's how we think about. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all the text. I realise for people online and in the room that'll be very difficult to read from here. But we tend to focus on, we recognise the different areas and the R's here that can go on when you're thinking about furniture and you're thinking about doing the right thing, as we say in our business. Recycling's great, don't get us wrong, we think recycling's great. To take a load of plastic chairs out of a school or out of a hall somewhere and grind them down to the original pellets and get that put back into the market, that's a great thing to do. But where we really come in is looking at the redundant furniture within a project and saying, well, actually, if we took those panels there, if well, this is all brand new stuff in here, but if we were to take that panel, what could we do with that in a different scheme if the organisation is changing? Perhaps it's returning to work after COVID and the working practices are going to be different, or whatever that might be in your world. So we developed quite a detailed process. There's a big old infogram there of the different ways that we go about looking at a project. And I would stress, it's on a project by project basis to make this work commercially. Ministry is not the kind of organisation like a bottle bank where we could say, come and drop your furniture off with us. It doesn't quite work like that. But what we can do is we can look at building stock and the asset that's within that building stock to say, well, okay, how could that be reused in a future project that you've got planned, or changes that you're planning for the organisation, whether it's public or private sector. Although I have to say the public sector tends to have adopted this far more readily than private sector at the moment. I'll just try and debunk that process and make it very simple. We normally get the call at this moment. I've got an office, or I've got a secret warehouse somewhere that I don't really want to reveal to everybody because it's full of redundant furniture and I don't really know what to do with it. What we'll do is we'll come in and we'll produce an asset register of everything that's there. If it's within a building, it's really important to work out, what room is it in, what condition is it in, A, B or C, is it reusable, is it worth even reupholstering the chair? And managing expectancies, sometimes it's not worth it, sometimes it's not worth redoing something, sometimes it really is worth redoing. Sometimes cost outweighs the benefit of what our client is trying to achieve. So we'll go in and we'll assess it, because that's what we do, and we understand furniture. The image that's just come up on the screen there, sorry, I'm switching sides again. So that's, I think I'm allowed to say, Jake, my colleague's here today, that's Newport Leisure Centre, where the client has said to us, there's a big project going down in Newport, and they said, look, we've got all this, before the demolition guys come in, we're going to get you in early enough in the process, we've got all this board, which is the kick boards for the side of the five-a-side pitches, Jake, and all that kind of stuff. Do you think you can do anything with it? And I said, well, I'm not sure yet, because I don't know what your project looks like at the end, but that looks like good material and it looks like good stock. Have you got anywhere, Newport, that if we get this out, that you could store this so that we don't put more carbon in the atmosphere by bringing it all the way back to Oslavera, which is where we're based? And we're working on a very nice project there. There's probably, 18 months, 2 years away, Jake, but there's some material there for, I don't know, cafe, the kind of thing that we see downstairs here. Perhaps that could be, or the board could be used for sort of industrial field cafe or whatever, or perhaps we could make tabletop from that, perhaps we could make benching. So there has to be a commercial value in the material, if that makes sense. Otherwise, obviously, the commercial partner doesn't want to come on board in the same way as they would have done. The next stage in the process then is we'll then go and design it. Now, by design it, we kind of work on the principle that it's very rare that you can do a whole project from completely remanufactured furniture. And in fact, I'm yet to come across one. But if you do 20% better, you're doing 20% better than you would have done had you done it the other way. So sometimes you can be really lucky and get a lot of desking out of it. Particularly in public sector, we see a lot of L-shaped desks coming down to 1400 by 800s. Why there are still L-shaped desks out there, I'll never know. No one needs an L-shaped desk. It's for an IBM. Remember IBM? I can. An IBM computer that sits on the end. We don't need those kind of things anymore. There's some clever things that we can do with an L-shaped desk, because it's got a short leg and a long leg, and I can do nice little runs of beam desking with it. So we've been working on this for a while, and we kind of know through our own intellectual property, we can get at that stock, what that looks like. Then we'll remanufacture it, or we'll make it from virgin board. It'll be brand, or as you can see in the chairs in here, we're a good old-fashioned office dealer as well, on the right frameworks in Wales, I should say, so government approved, MPS approved supplier under lot 3 and lot 2, I think I'm right in saying, lots 2 and lots 3 on MPS. The comfort for anyone working in the public sector area is that we're procurement compliant, and after today, if anyone wants to get any advice on how that's compliant, and you can add products that are brand new from where you would normally have added them from anyway, within that contract. It doesn't have to be all remanufactured. And that's what it looks like. So that there's a little bit of a cluster of imagery there on the bottom left, but that's Welsh Local Government Association, National Lottery, WCVA, One Canal Parade in Cardiff. Perhaps some of you know that one. It's an award-winning project, but I thought that the picture paints 1,000 words. You can see on the front of the lockers here, the virgin board is on the front, but if you look inside the lockers, you can see evidence of the old desking that we've cut the board from, edge banded it, and does it really matter? It's inside the product. And actually, we found a lot of clients have said, well, the fact that it used to be Johnny's desk in school, or it used to be this, or it used to be that, it's actually quite a nice story anyway. It kind of works quite well, we think. Okay, so just moving that ahead, there are some other products that we focused on quite successfully. If any of you have got a product called, write it down, an orange box G64 chair, they're in very short supply. Most of them tend to be in London, to be honest, with people like Lloyd's Bowmaker and what have you. We can take that kind of product, strip it down to its component parts and return it to a product that's like that. So that product, brand new, costs about 550 quid a unit. It's a seriously expensive chair. When we return it to the market with a 5-year guarantee, it's about £195 a unit with a 5-year guarantee on it as well. So, am I selling? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Got it in anyway, though, didn't I? You're about to ask me a question about cost. Okay. We've talked about, just to be clear, an L-shaped desk. That's what I'm looking for. That's the kind of stock I'm looking for. People don't need those things anymore. Managers don't need those kind of things anymore. I'm slicing it there, and I'm taking that panel to make new modesty panels on desks. It's underneath, you can't see it, and again, it's a nice story to talk to your stakeholders about when you've reused. There's a project that we've done where we've used, the arrow's pointing the wrong way, it should be pointing across to the lockers over here, but you can see the evidence there is if you've got oak and beech with white. So we worked out that actually you could do sort of shabby colours with different colours, and it actually looked okay, old desks with, or old material with new material. So, just with your permission, Tony, it says in the brief, show some projects that you've done. I won't sell them, I'll just show you some images. That's the Swansea Council project that we were talking about. That's probably 5 or 6 years old now. That was the warehouse that we went to for some of the product, and most of it came from the existing Civic. That was the kind of outcomes that we achieved. This one is Rothervach Leisure Centre, very similar theory going on. Desks reducing to 1400 by 800, storage coming away from the desk and going on the end of the run. So we adapted their views to that. Hopefully there's nobody Swansea online, but just in case you are, don't say I showed that image. So this is the community hub that we're talking about at BHS, and bottom right is how we've rendered that. That's how we're imagining it's going to be at the end of the project, the colours. All of the shelves, I'm on the design engagement at the moment, so the furniture hasn't been procured yet, but fingers crossed because we're on the design engagement. But in my proposal, I'm running it through, all of that shelving is existing shelving being decanted from Swansea Civic and being reskinned by our people or somebody else if they win the contract. And I hope you'd agree, that just kind of fits in with this scheme. The stuff that goes around it is going to be brand new. But in terms of what we can achieve in terms of CO2 emissions or kilograms, whatever measure we decide to put on this, it'll be substantial and it'll be a great outcome for the council. I'm sure Wales Online will have something to say at the end of it, but as they do, but it's going to be a great outcome. That's the One Canal Parade project I was talking about, just a little bit bigger so you can see it. But the mix of remanufactured versus over here, brand new product that's gone in, because you have to put some in sometimes to lift it. You can't go entirely remanufactured. Although the stools you can see there, I'll talk about our supply chain in a moment. Wherever possible, we try and get to sustainable materials. I mean, that one's actually hemp. It's a hemp stool, believe it or not. So if the place ever went up in smoke, it would be interesting for Cardiff. Could be some fun had there by all. And there's another image of One Canal Parade. So I'm just trying to see it, but the desking was probably on the previous image, was all remanufactured. And many of the panels that are in some of the products here are from remanufactured resources. When you do a desk that thick, if you can see the desk that's in front of you, that's 25mm, 25mm board. I can get old board, sandwich it to 25mm and edge band it once. The underside you don't see. So you're actually, when you're doing something 50mm thick in a cafeteria like that, 50% of it could be from remanufactured, recovered materials, which is it's kind of a crazy way of thinking about it. That's so simple and so straightforward. It's normal in the industry that when you create something 50mm thick, you sandwich 225s together and glue them. That's normal, so why not let the underside just be the old stuff? Citizen building, Kia Construction and Swansea University. Again, you can just about see it there. It tends to be lockers. Everyone seems to like it for lockers. So a remanufactured desk, and this is one over here. That'll be a virgin top, almost certainly, because we need to hide the holes and everything else. But the modesty panel, that's what I'm referring to down here. That'll be a recovered board. And I've got. I better put this in. It's Carmarthenshire. This is Tielwen. Again, that's probably the best picture we've got of it. You can see bottom left there. You can see the desking and the run of desking. That short leg that you see there has come off the end of an L-shaped desk. The long leg has come off the other end of an L-shaped desk, and the beach board underneath is the desk. The new part is the top. And if you do want to come and see this stuff, you can either go on our Matterport and go online and see it if you don't want to travel, or you can pop down and have a look at our offices, which has got a huge amount of remanufactured content. I did touch on the idea that we were a business with social aims, and the business that came out of Remploy, so just a couple of things on that. Apart from the obvious training and development of people that are furthest from the job market and trying to develop their skills and their skill sets within ministry. We're also very active with our suppliers, a couple of local suppliers that I think are worthy of mention, and I don't know whether they play here in your worlds at the moment, but Oseng Rees, Tyra over at Oseng Rees is a Swansea-based business, is very heavily into recovering bottles from Wine Street and places like that, and she produces what's called, I'm not an expert on this, but artisan glass. So these panels are ones that we want to use to clad shelving systems and what have you. And another business, you may have heard of it, is I think they're on there yet, there we go, Smile Plastics, we've just started to engage with. So these are guys that are bringing back plastics, plastic bottles, yoghurt pots. I don't know if you can see it there, but I think it's that product there in particular. They're bringing back yoghurt pots, and the fleck is actually the foil in the yoghurt. And they come and pitch to people like me to say, will you buy this as a tabletop, as a plastic tabletop, exclusively recovered from plastic. So there you go, you can see it as an outcome. So that's the glass. That was not my job actually, to be fair. That was a Kia job in University of Trinity Wales. And then you can see over the left hand side the kind of outcomes. That top is an all plastic top, but it would just behave like a normal tabletop. So right on cue, I think pretty much that's me. There's a web page in there. If you need to go, I guess the presentation's going to go out. You can come and visit and see all of this stuff. Okay, Tony? Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you everybody. Thank you.